What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the red color, playing as Ra. His name is Dobr. His opponent today in the blue color, playing also as Ra. His name is Suppe. Now, don't click off because it's a Ra mirror. I've been told by authorities that this game is actually interesting. So I'm excited to see what makes this game so interesting. And I mean, you already know, right? We're watching Suppe play Ra, and Suppe's got no idea what he's doing with Ra, and will come up with something insane. I'm sure something insane, and he's going to destroy someone or get destroyed by someone when he plays Ra. I mean, that's generally how things work, but I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this game. Dobr here, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I believe he is Russian, and he is an incredibly strong 1800 plus player. He's been sitting in the top 20-ish, in and out of the top 20, so he's definitely one of those players that can compete with the best, given the right situation, and I'm excited to see what he's going to come up with. Now, we are on this map Alpha, and we see something a little bit strange here from Dobr, not actually going for his elks here in the early stages of the game. There is a Ra strategy which revolves around basically you go husbandry first, and you go 7 villages on food, and then you go villages over to gold, and then you go villages over to wood, and it allows you to get a fast second town center. It's like a 5-minute advance time, fast second town center, super clean farms, and everything kind of goes pretty well in that regard, right? But this isn't exactly what Dobr's doing here. He's gone for the early husbandry, he's gone for early wood, he's coming over onto the gold here, and he's got too few villagers on food. So we'll see how this build order adaptation is going to go for him. Now, Suppe's doing a similar thing. He's gone for early food as well, but he did go into his hunt first. Both players have got their food fairly close to other resources in terms of what you should actually go for first, berries or chicken. It's much of a muchness. I believe that there is a small advantage to berries if you have husbandry. And I could be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong. Someone who does the actual things, but basically, I think if you get husbandry, it either speeds up the process or slows it down. Because you go to 14 food here. Yes, you go to 14 food here, and then instead of going up to 16 food, you go to 15 food. If that makes no sense to you guys, because I didn't explain it very well, that's because I should probably explain how gathering works in this game. So obviously, the villagers gather resources, right? But every single animation they do, the game checks what the gather rate is, how much food the villager has, and then it'll tell you what the next thing is. So say the villager has got, let's just say a random number, 1.5 gather rate, right? Every time the animation would come through, you'd get 1.5 resources. So it would show up as 1 food on the first animation, and then the second animation would show up as 3 food. Now, if we gather 15 food, that's going to line up perfectly, and the gather rate is going to stay true. Thank you so much for the 3 months, Kenny Holt. If it does not line up with the gather rate, that final, or that carry capacity, I should say, the gather rate doesn't line up with the carry capacity, that last animation is going to be wasted. So you want to be getting yourself a technology which would line up your gather rate. Now, I could be wrong about it, but I'm fairly sure it's different for berries and chicken because the animation length is different. Because you have a hunting animation on the chickens and you have a berry gathering animation on the berries. So there you go. Little bit of know-how for you on this auspicious of Sundays. This is Shoutcast Sunday. If you guys are checking this out on the YouTubes in the future, I do try to cast every Sunday a whole bunch of the best games that have been played through the week, and you should come and hang out because it's always a fun time. So we're seeing Suppe doing something fairly old school in this game, which is farms in the Archaic Age. This is only something that is relatively good, as this farm here being placed is awful. This is only something that is relatively good for Ra mirrors. If you're playing this against, say, like a Greek player and you go for Archaic farms, it's really, really bad. So the reason it's good is because you've got 2 rains. You cast rain, your opponent doesn't get on the rain, and you get some advantage where that's concerned. So Suppe is going to be going for that. He's got 10 farms, casting rain, going to be clicking up later. He's going to be going through Bast, but so too is Dobr going through Bast, which is a surprise to me as the farms are starting to come down, and Dobr is trying to get onto this rain just a little bit here, trying to put these farms down as best as he possibly can. Well, he's got all the villagers on gold. Does he have himself pickaxe? He does have pickaxe. He's taking villagers off wood now because he doesn't need too much more. He just needs to get himself plow, and he's going to actually have overgathered wood if that's all he wanted. Probably not going to go for much else. And here's the big thing. The fact that Dobr advanced first here isn't going to matter. It's not going to matter at all. He's not got anything to do. The Sphinx is coming out, and I assume we're just going to see an armory get thrown down. Plow's going to come through. Dobr's going to have to cast rain, even though we got onto maybe a little bit of Suppe's rain in the end. The armory is going to come down over here, and it's going to be a relatively late 1 town center play here from Dobr. And so too is it going to be a weird 1 town center play here from Suppe as he rotates the farm. I mean, not the farm. He rotates his monument. He wants his monuments to be facing in on his gold mine here. You got to make sure that you create that ritual place for your stuff. Now, if you are going to be empowering a monument, which is obvious, not obvious, but it's not very good to empower a monument. But if you are going to be empowering a monument, you should empower the monument to the villagers. Monument to the villagers gathers at 6 favor per minute, which is 0.6 favor per second. And the monument to the soldiers gathers at 4.5 favor per minute. So you get more favor from empowering your monument to the villagers. There you go. These farms are actually decent in the end of the day. He's actually done them in a perfect fashion, but these farms on the corners here are all really bad. And it's okay to do this with Ra because you're empowering the town center, but it might actually end up being better to just put these around your granary over here in the end of the day. Like if you want to be fairly pedantic about it, because the village is still going to be walking further than everyone else. And you're going to cut down on that walking time and probably be fine. But Suppe's going through Sekhmet here as we see Dobr just still not advancing. The armory coming through. There's the Sekhmet from Dobr. So both Ra players going for Sekhmet here. This is a super weird game here. A very, 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 very super weird game. Normally we see Hathor in this matchup, but both players going Sekhmet means Sphinx shenanigans, Eclipse, whoever casts Eclipse wins. Right? Whoever casts Eclipse wins. That makes the most sense to me. You make the scarabs and you just go kill your opponent. They can't stop you. We've got some priests being made here as well. One way to defend against the scarabs would be to spam priests out or Sphinx out. If you make Sphinx here because you see the Sekhmet come in, you could actually defend fairly easily against the scarabs, especially if you see them walking forward and you can cast Eclipse first before they get too close and you can chase them down and kill them all. And then also your speedy Sphinx will be able to counter the enemy priest because they move fast enough to dodge the priest projectiles. That's one way to do it. The other way is to build priest or build a whole bunch of Petsukos. As we see potential fast mythic here from Dobr. This is incredibly greedy from Dobr, considering he saw Suppe going Sekhmet here. So we've got the double Sphinx out for Suppe. Suppe's making himself an extra scarab already. Suppe's got himself 13 favor in the bank. Dobr is going to try his darndest to get to the Mythic Age. And if he can get to the Mythic Age before Suppe's timing attack, why are you going Horus here? Okay. If Dobr could have got to the Mythic Age through Osiris here, he would have had mummies. He could spare mummies, completely ruin the Scarab Sphinx timing attack that's going to come, because he's just going to one-hit those Scarabs with his mummy. The Son of Osiris is going to zap the myth units, and it's just going to be game over Red Rover for Suppe here. But going Horus makes nearly no sense. The idea is potentially to take down the Citadel Center and get some value where that's concerned. Get your Avengers out, and maybe your Avengers are going to be able to counter the enemy units, especially with an Eclipse would be potentially the idea there, as the Migdol does end up coming up. 357 gold left in the bank for Dobr as those houses are starting to come down. He seems to be a little bit concerned about his population, though he does still have roughly 50 I can't do that math, 55, 45, whatever it is, population free here, but he's spamming those up. Maybe going to come over onto this gold mine here as Suppe is just hanging back, ready to start moving in. We do have two Scarabs here. Suppe's got kind of no idea what's happening here. If Dobr had kind of defended or protected his stuff, he could actually have baited this in. We see one dead tower here. Attempted ghost buildings coming up, not actually going to get there in time. The Sphinx moving in, 16.88 damage with that Eclipse in here. As the Scarabs moving in, these things have a crazy amount of damage to do onto the Citadel. So look at that damage. They absolutely tear through the Citadel Center. And one little known fact, well, not a little known fact, but one big fact about the Citadel Center is that it has 10% crush armor. So all the crush damage you see coming through, which is 18 crush here, is essentially free damage. Like it's essentially, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Free damage, not free damage. Brain not working. True damage. It is true damage. As we see the Citadel Center going down, and now the cavalry here are targeting back on this position, but Dobr's now got himself two Avengers out. Is he making more? A third Avenger is going to be coming out here, and Dobr is also going to be having himself Eclipse. We see the Tornado onto this position. The Citadel Center is getting torn down. Is it going to be enough? The villagers retreating away from this location. 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, and down. Suppe didn't attempt to get Masons there. I think Masons would have actually kept that Citadel Center alive in this game. It's something to test in the future, but both players at 11 minutes and 15 seconds into the game, zero resources. Zero town centers right now as the Avengers moving in onto this position. Dobr's got no idea where his opponent is gathering gold from here in this game, as we do see the Eclipse coming in. They're going to absolutely carve through these Chariot Archers. Another Avenger wandering in onto this position, as we do see this Priest here helping out in the back. Those Chariot Archers have all been dealt with here, but the Avengers getting taken down very, very quickly. Now we see the Avenger moving down to the bottom side of the map. There is an inkling that there is potentially a gold mine down here. There's villagers over here that could be taken out. Going to be checking out the home town center here, where Suppe is gathering his farms, and the villagers will fall very, very quickly to these Eclipsed Avengers here. As one goes down, more will go down in very short amounts of hits here. 42 damage per second is the hack damage which these Avengers do at this stage of the game with the Eclipse. Absolutely bonkers amount of damage, as the villagers do manage to make it inside of that Migdol, but not without losing roughly 5 of them there, as they are in a lot of pain. And we see the Avengers getting trapped now in on this position, using that special to do a whole bunch of splash damage and then getting out of here. Dobr has done immaculate amounts of damage. Dobr is in the Mythic Age, excuse me. Suppe, however, has got nearly a full army here, nearly 69 of 90 population. Another Avenger coming in, but Suppe's got a huge amount more population than Dobr, and he's going to be attempting to make a big push back into Dobr's base, as Dobr is trying to get his town center back. There is no Priest or Pharaoh left here for Dobr, as it seemingly looks like they've all fallen to that initial attack, and you can't get your Pharaoh back if you don't have a town center. So that is that there, as we're going to be seeing Dobr continuing to juke in and out here and distract Suppe as much as he possibly can, trying to get this town center back. Suppe is just like, yeah, town center, schmound center. Who needs a town center? Siege towers are going to be rolling in to try and take this town center down, but I think they're going to be too little, too late here as Dobr has sped that town center up. 12 villagers here. Suppe's got himself 1 scarab, 3 siege towers. The Avengers retreating away from here. All of those units seemingly have fallen here for Dobr. Dobr's got himself 180 gold in the bank as the villagers trying to push those siege towers away. The scarab getting in onto this position. Cavalry coming out. Priest coming through. An Avenger is being queued up as well for Dobr as he's going to attempt to utilize that to keep himself alive. The siege towers falling very, very quickly here as they're trying to push in. The scarab very low. The Avengers returning back onto this location, but the priest is here to take this one down as the villagers trying their darnest to finish off this scarab. The siege towers to take down the town center yet again as Suppe is continuing to stay 1 town center in this game, deleting Dobr's rebuilt town center from the game. More villagers fallen. Got Suppe on 24 villagers. Dobr on 14 villagers. Ladies and gentlemen, Dobr's got himself 42 favor in the bank, but no food to produce those juicy, juicy Avengers to help defend against this onslaught that Suppe is putting onto Dobr's base here. Suppe still needs to get that 1 more house up. It's very rare that you're on 0 town centers, but he's currently below population by 10 because he's on only 9 houses right now. But we see the units still moving in. The chariot archers trying to take down that priest before the Avenger starts attacking, but another priest coming in for Suppe as Dobr retreating away with that one there. More buildings getting taken down as the siege towers still rolling in, and the monument to the village is now the target of Suppe's siege tower as he is going to probably be able to take down the temple next. Suppe needs to think about maybe possibilities of picking off that remnants of gold income that Dobr's got coming in, but he obviously doesn't know it's there. He's Ra. Ra doesn't scout. I could imagine that if we checked Suppe's point of view, he does know what the whole map looks like, so he could be checking the gold mines if he wanted to, but he's deciding, you know what, nah, why not? Why not just like stay here and just pick off the units that are getting trained? Makes perfect sense. And the temple getting taken out here as well, as now we see Suppe moving his army down to this bottom gold mine. The villagers making a run for it here as they do manage to get away just in the nick of time, but Suppe has got his eyes set on this secondary gold mine over here, and he's going to be taking down these last remaining villagers. 7 villagers here. If they all die, will mean Dobr is down to 4 villagers total, and that is going to be an impossibility to recover from with 0 town centers to boot. Suppe's ready to build his town center back. We do see this Avenger on this position, but with the priest already over here to defend, Dobr will be tapping out in this game. GG. Well played by Suppe. What a ridiculous game here. The scarab timing push against that Citadel center. You do have to ask yourself the question, how much different would this game have been had those Avengers been mummies instead of Avengers? The idea being that the mummy would come out, the mummy would instantly kill a scarab, the son of Osiris would be able to push back, you would have a son of Osiris to defend, and you could build more and more mummies, and then your eclipse would effectively be an ancestors eclipse with like 3 mummies here. It would have been absolutely bonkers, would have been able to push through for sure. And could have been a completely different story here. Dobr tried to make it work. The other thing that could have been massive is had Dobr known or at least thought about moving to the bottom side of the map here to raid this gold mine in the earlier stages of the game, there was 9 to 10 villagers here that were sitting for the picking. He could have very, very easily taken them down. But he came in, he attacked this, and he tried to run out, lost all his Avengers, and those raids were shut down in the end of the game there, and he was not able to use his tech advantage for anything more, and that was the game. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you guys are on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.